All right. Stoop wave, stoop wave, stoop wave. Sucker punch, sucker punch, sucker punch. Are we going? Are we going? Are we live? Are we going? I don't see video. I see video. Stoop wave. Counting all the branches on the Erd tree. Cancelled for the blanching of black music on a neural beat. Mounting tensions rising like the tides that swallow Myrtle Beach. East Coast, down south, foul mouth, girl beef. Yggdrasil in the sky is the signal. Pick your dusty bones up, keep remaining ever vigil. Heed the sigil that they grafted on your neck. This is every place and every person that you've ever met. Hands on deck, who's on first, what's on next? Hold my beer, let me cash this check. Right, left, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's just how it be, and this just how it do. Hey, drag in the nets and distribute. I'm placing all my bets on the next head for tribute. She's cute, the gods will love her. Afterwards, her boyfriend was seen dating her brother. Whoa, porn at mind poison. Boys in vogue choke their throat full of grime, noise, and vibe choicely defines, hoisting them high like how can something this good be sold for only $2.99? Blessed with a sign sense. Oh, that's enough of those bars. I'm not going to be able to do the next part right. Hello, everybody who's coming in. Welcome. I was just rapping some Stoop Wave. Which is one of the many songs that I've written for Sucker Punch. Really excited about that. Working closely with ASE Presents, The Vizier, It's Mint Salad, Cranberry Dave, the legendary hip-hop producer, and Dyron Miller, god-tier rapper out of Houston, Texas. The five of us comprise Sucker Punch, and our telegraphing EP is on the way, and I'm pretty fucking hyped about it. Not gonna lie. I recorded so many songs for Sucker Punch, I don't remember which ones are specifically on the telegraphing EP. So I'm probably gonna be like rediscovering that along with everybody else when the thing actually drops. I'll be like, right, these were the tracks that are on this one. This game is fucking delightful. It's pleasant on the eyes and ears. It's, I was just kind of meditatively listening to the music that was playing during, like, the cutscene while I was waiting to start the stream. You know, getting my zen. Hitting my zen, dreaming a dream, can mean leaving a land. Whatever that Chance the Rapper bar was. What's better than leaning and eating a Zan is hitting your Zan, dreaming a dream can mean leaving the land. That's the full line. Trixie, if you ever need a Zach Hill to your death grips, hit me up. You drum? Bruh, just send me literally anything you've done. I'll check it out. Honestly, the person to get in contact, like, when it comes to my music production role, I'm basically just rapper. I'm a really good rapper. I show up, I drop bars, you know, I do really great studio sessions. Me and Dave had a fucking blast recording just raps after raps after raps for days on end. But, you know, on the production end, I will rap over whatever. And so, like, you know, right now, the main in-house producer for the Sucker Punch project is Cranberry Dave. So, you know, mostly I'm using his production, but we have also done stuff where, like, I recorded with him on other people's production, such as Kale, also known as Bat Eater, who is the host of the Jittery Zeitgeist podcast, which is a hip-hop review show I do on the ASE Presents channel. He's also a hip-hop producer, and so we have a song that we've made together that's I'm really hyped about it, and I ended up you know, doing recordings of it with Dave at his studio. I don't know who's mixing the vocals ultimately or gonna release the song, but you know, whatever project it ends up on, I'm excited about it. But yeah, so like contacting the people who I work with as producers like Vizier or Cranberry Dave, you know, Vizier's the main guy to talk to if you're just like, I want to be involved in the stuff that, you know, that you guys do as hip-hop people. He's really good at keeping up with everybody and and understanding like what they do and what they can contribute uniquely to the whole of our projects, you know. And then yeah, like if you were gonna send like just if you just wanted to like record a bunch of drum samples or drum tracks or something and send them to somebody, you'd send them to Cranberry Dave. Cozy with $5. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Rant about how my anime list lets you favorite Adolf Hitler character, but Annie list won't let you. That's hilarious. Annie list, that's the one that's even older than my anime list, right? I think, because I remember I first had... The first account I had that was like a list of all the anime that I had seen. I don't remember if it was on Annie list. Whatever it was like a very bare bones list. Like it was literally just you punch in the name and then it would like put that name into a list and you have now a list of all the shows and like, you know, the episodes you've seen. And then Mal just like allowed you to import that list and add, you know, it had all these like images and all this extra stuff that just made it a more complete experience of a list. And so it became more popular. And then I think that the other one, if it was Annie list, you know, remained around and became more like Mal. And then a bunch of other Mal clones arrived, which has always baffled me. Like, I don't know why we need there to be more than one. Like Anime News Network has a great encyclopedia database, but ultimately is best for the fact that it has up-to-date anime news. AniDB has the most complete database, the most like reliable and like easiest to navigate for actually figuring out like who worked on what. And it's not really that, it doesn't have like a lot of social media features, so I get why it exists. And then you got Mal, but then there's like all these things that are just like Mal but with a slightly different aesthetic. And I understand like in the short term how like people who just prefer it over Mal will go there, but like long term I don't see how any of them would like dethrone it when it's so deeply rooted, you know. Like I guess I don't understand if they intend to compete directly with my anime list or just to you know, coexist with it. Okay, that's right, I can go this way. I was like, where the hell do I need to go? Let's retrieve a whole shitload of Pikmin, and also I had forgotten about the purple ones. But anyway, about the Adolf Hitler thing, I mean, that's funny that it won't let you favorite him on any list. It reminds me of, like, I've mentioned before that there was a period where I was really into Anime Planet, because that's like it's, you know, it was an early Mal alternative that was focused on its recommendation system. Like, they really wanted it to be like, yeah, we really care about people giving good reviews and recommendations. And so that was something that I gravitated towards, but they weren't listing a lot of hentai, and it was really just out of like the creator of the site just sort of not respecting hentai. And I was like, well, I want to list everything I've seen, you know. So ultimately Mal just seemed more useful, and it still has very similar recommendation and review features. But what Anime Planet has actually justified itself now because of its in-depth tag system, which is really helpful for stuff like when you want to look up every isekai anime that's ever existed. Like, you know, it has, and then, you know, even beyond that, every trapped in a video game, or every this or that, like anything categorically that an anime could be described as, or a character could be described as, Anime-Planet has like really in-depth tags about it, and that can be helpful for me in my job. Pikmin 2 is your favorite game of all time? Well, I hope I won't be too disappointing with my play. This is actually my first time playing it. I beat Pikmin 1 for the first time like 2 or 3 years ago whenever I did that review. I think that was in like early 2020. I'm really fucking losing track of time at this point. Maybe it was in 2019. I can't remember. Yeah, the tags are really cool there. Well, anyway, reminding everybody that I'll rant about anything anybody wants for a $5 super chat or more. That's my primary purpose in doing these live streams, is to rant, to be a rant slave, to rant about anything anybody wants. Of course, you don't have to request a rant. If you want a super chat, you can just say hi, or I don't know, say nothing. Just get your name read. Or even tell me not to read your name. You can super chat and just be like, don't acknowledge this on the stream. As the actual message of, like, the text of the super chat. Okay, so I remember last time I'd gone down but not up. Oh yeah, this thing. Yeah, let's fucking fight this bastard. Thinks he can just spook me twice. Audrey Rogers with Australian $10. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Rant about the reason insane hair colors / styles both help anime break into the general consciousness and how it can work against itself. What are some great and awful anime hairstyles? My least favorite anime hairstyles is like the early mid 2000s visual novel style of just like big hair. Just like a big single color fucking just mop of hair that so many of those characters had. Like the shuffle style. Shuffle is like particularly bad because it has like really bad same face, so all the characters look exactly the fucking same, and it was very popular and influential, so lots of other stuff also looks similar. And like, yeah, I just think that was a hideous era for anime hair, and I think it really had to do with like just the struggle of adapting to digital animation and understanding how to like draw characters from fucking the side. I don't know what it was about design from that era that made things so fucking wonky, but I was not a fan. I love like truly absurd anime hair, like, you know, Goku or Yami Yugi or whatever. I think those ones have been sincerely influential in a good way, where like, you know, public figures like rappers and personas are copying these like preposterous anime hairstyles, like Denzel Curry, you know, rocking the full like Goku spikes. I'm a big fan of that. I want people to make reality look as like audacious as they can, you know, like I appreciate cool aesthetics that people come up with, and I want them to push themselves to invent weird hairstyles, and anime has been a big influence, you know. Fucking Kim Kardashian dyed her hair pink after she saw C2 from fucking God, what the hell was that show? Fuckers in the Franks. So, you know, I think that anime's crazy hair has definitely had a big influence on reality in a positive way. But obviously there's always going to be some people who just do a bad job of copying anime style, whether they're trying to copy something that is tasteful or not. There's probably even people who've been inspired by something that looked like shit and managed to actually make it look good. But, yeah. The worst anime hairstyles for me, again, visual novels of the early 2000s. Just bad hair era. Echo Chamber Show with $5. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Rant about copyright law. Do you think it's too long? Should it apply to monopolistic sectors only? Is no copyright better? What's your hot take? My hot take, my really hot take is, yeah, just I don't think it's really that necessary. I understand the argument for it, and I do think that the protections of copyright probably help people out to some extent, but I also think that, I don't know, it's complicated, and like the biggest problem with copyright is how stringently it's enforced by corporations. Like, I don't think that if it weren't for just like how unfair, you know, copyright holders have been about shit, that that people would, I think people would be very sympathetic to copyright law's existence in general, which is why it exists. If not for how poorly it is actually implemented. So in that sense, like, as someone who respects the spirit of the law and why people would think copyright's a good idea and what protections it offers, you know, I think it was probably pretty much fine until they made it insanely long and insanely powerful. And, like, I have a lot of respect for, you know, derivative works, and even for stuff that like is derivative but then, you know, just changes something slightly so that it can get away with succeeding, I really do feel like most of the time the existence of derivative work benefits the original. Like it just makes it more popular. Homestuck would never have been as successful as it was if not for the, you know, ridiculous amounts of fan content being generated for it that made it a participatory thing that made people care about it that much more and invest that much more of their life and time and talking about it and growing it, you know? And that might have been obnoxious for lots of people who didn't like it or didn't get into it or did and didn't want to have to be associated with its own growth. But ultimately, you know, Andrew Hussey made a lot of fucking money because Homestuck, you know, got talked about by lots of people who felt connected to it because they were capable of participating in it. And, you know, Homestuck 2, which a lot of people don't really like, but like it does carry on the ethos of that idea, like that, you know, Homestuck would be recognized best as a participatory narrative that a lot of people have a say in, so to speak. I haven't actually read any of it myself. I never even finished Homestuck. But yeah, so I think that being loose with copyright will benefit almost any creator more than being strict with copyright will. And I don't know where the line is, but speaking personally, I am extremely lenient with copyright on my work. I very much encourage people to create fan content of it. You know, if you look at the Kusomega website, kusomega.com, there's an entire page for fan art with hundreds of fan art links. There was originally hundreds of fan art embeds, but the page will not display them anymore because there's so many of them. I link to every review of the book. I link to, you know, any derivative content, anything that has anything to do with my story. I link to it directly because to me it just reinforces the power of the story itself, you know, and the sense of community with everybody in it and how much they care about it and value it. So, yeah. M. Luera with $5. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. Can you talk about Miyazaki for a while? Maybe about his new movie or something? Thanks. I don't know anything really about his new movie. I don't know if there's like an official trailer out or anything. The last I had heard about what he was working on was that like caterpillar movie, I think is what it was. I think he was working on a movie about a caterpillar. Was that How Do You Live? Like, I remember he was working on a movie called How Do You Live, and I know he was working on a movie about a caterpillar. I don't remember if they were the same thing. I shouldn't have tried to lead my purple guys through this fucking fire. Oh, God. Pikmin are suffering. Oh. Gotta be real careful. Careful! Oh, shit. Alright. We might need to split this group up. I think there we go. Reds only. Alrighty. Anyway, more about Miyazaki. Yeah, he was working on a caterpillar movie last I knew. I don't know what that amounted to yet. Then I think he's got another thing in the works. I don't know if the caterpillar movie is something that can be watched or if it's another Ghibli museum thing or whatever. But I love Hayao Miyazaki. He's one of my favorite directors. He's obviously one of the greatest directors of all time, the most revered. It took me a while to fully appreciate his work because a lot of it just really did go over my head. A lot of the like depth of the symbolism and what he's trying to say. I remember when I was probably 12, I saw Spirited Away for the first time, and I remember being like intrigued with it, and I remembered most of it afterwards, but it was just like not something that spoke to me in like a personal way, and I also was very confused by parts of it. And then I watched Princess Mononoke around then, and I really enjoyed that. but actually understood even less of it, and less of it stuck with me at the time. I saw like half of Nazca in Japanese class in high school. One of my Japanese teachers was a huge fan of the movie, and just showed it to the class. Actually, maybe we watched all of Nazca, and I was just so confused by the non-ending of the movie that I thought it wasn't over yet. But eventually I ended up reading the manga, which is one of my favorite manga of all time. It's definitely in the top 5, up there with like Akira and Bakuman as my other favorites, and Jin, King of Bandits. But yeah, I think the Nazca manga is a real masterpiece. It's a true epic, and it's definitely underappreciated compared to his film work. Not that any of it isn't phenomenal. I've seen Castle of Cagliostro, but not very recently, so I'd like to rewatch that one. My Neighbor Totoro, the first time I saw it, I just kind of thought it was kind of boring and then emotional at the end, so I didn't really know where it was going. When I rewatched it, while I was on just a little bit of acid, it was really, 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 really delightful, and I got it on a much deeper level. And then I loved Princess Mononoke. I saw it again in theater, and that was great. Ponyo is one of my favorite movies of all time. The very first time I watched it, I was just fucking, like, ecstatic. I couldn't believe how good it was. And then I immediately watched it again with my brother Shade, who I knew would like it just as much as I did. You know, I've shown it to a few people, but I think Shade's the only one I've showed it to who likes it as much as I do. And then The Wind Rises became one of my favorite movies. I saw that in theaters, dubbed when it first came out, and it fucking made me a wreck. And then it made me a wreck again seeing it years later on a whole different level. Both times because of my intense fear of death and workaholic nature, which the film's themes play into very, very well. I can't tell if my Pikmin are doing anything right now. It just seems like they're losing a fight. Or not even really getting a fight. What other Miyazaki films? Kiki's Delivery Service is one of my least favorite of his films, just because I don't really like the way it's structured that much. I think the character is fine. I like the whole relationship with the painter lady. I love The Pig Returns. I mean, not the pig. Not the, I'm just confused. The Cat Returns and the fucking Porco Rosso. No, I love Porco Rosso. I've only seen that one once, but it's got the prettiest color palette, and it's just delightful to look at, and it has a really, I think Porco's a really interesting character. What other Miyazaki films are there? Heard a noise in the window. I'm gonna go close it. Oh, fucking some weird bugs get in here. I be dropping shit. Oh, it's a Game & Watch. I got a fucking Game & Watch. The Dream Architect. Alright, I feel like I've talked about Miyazaki enough. If anybody has anything else they'd like me to rant about, $5 super chats is the way to get a rant about whatever you want. I'm still trying to think if there's an... Oh yeah, Castle in the Sky. I've never been in love with that movie. Every time I watch it, I think, yeah, this is good. And like, I really love the design of the Castle in the Sky, but at this point, like, the influence of that design has led to stuff that outstrips it, you know, which is kind of shocking to say about a Miyazaki film, but that just goes to show how fucking many people have tried when it comes to that particular concept. Howl's Moving Castle is pretty fun. I need to rewatch that one. It's been a long time. Am I missing anyone? feel like I named all of them. I feel like that was all the Miyazakis. Before I continue, I'm going to take a bite of this sea salt caramel chocolate cream pie that I've got here. Does that mean I am eating a salty... Does that mean I am stuffing my face with salty cream pie? Yes, it does. Ooh. Off model. I'm glad you asked. Is the Lucky Star 50k incentive going to be about the spin-offs or possibly about reviewing their outfits like Cardcaptor Sakura? I think I'll do it like that show in that I'll promise an outfit review at 25k and then a spin-offs review at 50k. I honestly had forgotten there were Lucky Star spin-offs. I was also considering at 50k making the goal that I'll cover Haruhi, because I plan to do Shingeki no Kyojin for S. So if I want to do Suzumiya Haruhi no Yutsu, I might have to make that an extension on Lucky Star. Should be really fascinating from a meta perspective. How close am I to 25k actually? I haven't checked in about a week, so... 22. The Cardcaptor Sakura video is at 22,000 views. So 3,000 views away from an outfit review. I'm excited. I agree, Kagami's outfits are god tier. Literally a massive influence on my own style. Yes, there was a Lucky Star spinoff like years later about the like pink and green haired girl who show up a little bit later into the show. What in the fuck is this? Oh. Ariel Waithaka with $4.99. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once yet? I haven't. I'm going to see it on Wednesday? Is today? What day is today? Yeah, Wednesday. I'm going to see it on Wednesday. I will literally, apropos of nothing... Actually, I will make probably a video about it. Especially because I've seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So it's very likely that I'll do some kind of video comparing the two. And I liked Doctor Strange. I was specifically excited to see Multiverse of Madness because of the fact that Kusomega Volume 4 is planned to be a multiversal story. Like, I had already planned this years ago. Wow. Oh, no. He killed all my Pikmin. Oh. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, the humanity. The Pikminity. Ah! Oh. Wow, that was traumatizing. That was... I wasn't emotionally prepared to handle that. I don't know why I saved. Why did I save? Why didn't I just hit don't save? Am I gonna be... Like, I was in the mindset when I hit save of like, well, whatever, it's just gonna give me the Pikmin back, right? What the fuck was I thinking? I need a second. I don't really know how even to recover from this other than to just go back and do the previous level again. I feel pretty devastated. I mean, it didn't even end the day. I'm just here with my 26 red Pikmin. Alright, whatever. Let's fucking harvest shit while we've got daylight. Holy balls. They really were just like, hey, we're gonna tempt you with this large monster at the end of this cave that can just instantly kill all of your Pikmin. So, you know. Just look out for that. This game was very easy up until that moment. I just need to remind you. The only reason I challenged that thing... This is way too much. I need a moment. Yeah, that's how I felt. Lol, what happened? Okay, so at the bottom of this cave, there's a giant fucking roly-poly thing, or I don't know, a caterpillar. And I threw all my Pikmin at it. And then it rolled, and it killed all of them. And then it said Pikmin extinction. Save? And I said, save. Because I'm an idiot. The monster's texture was so balloony, it was hard to resist poking it. Yeah. Well, it just like, at first, okay. So my first instinct when I saw the monster was not to fuck with it because it was so big. However, it was the only thing in the final room of the dungeon. And so I thought, okay, well, this must be a boss that I can take on right now. If it's the last thing in this what has been a fairly easy dungeon. And granted, if I had prepared for him to roll, it's possible that I could have called all the Pikmin to the side and dodged it. I was doing decent damage to him, too. So it probably is just a matter of, you know, like clever timing on your attacks. But the fact that he wiped all of them, including all of the purple ones, which you can't just pick up a purple thing and get a purple Pikmin. You have to throw them into a fucking specific flower that you find at the bottom of a goddamn other dungeon. But it's okay. That's just, you know, that's life! Alright. Well, I need you all to soothe my fucking aching soul with that super chat money. I will pour all of my negative feelings into an impassioned rant about whatever subject you choose. Whoever submits right now for a rant is gonna get, you know, something real special, something real extra spicy from the sad mind of someone who just lost all their Pikmin to sheer hubris. So many lives. Incredible. Oh my god, bro, there is no money. It's not true. I've already made some money tonight. I know there's money. You know, not all of us have it. Somebody does. All my super chat money went into my petrol tank. I don't blame you. The prices be up there. You know how much I drive. well, by which I mean Bird drives, but we share the car. Sometimes I drive. But we had a 8.5-hour trip to Kentucky and back. Well, 8.5 hours each way. Just recently, and then I also drove an hour to Virginia Beach to see my mom's friend the other day. So, yeah, that was a couple gas tanks. Luckily, Bird drives a Prius. Off model with $2. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Mini rant about Hazel's channel. Sure. Let's go ahead and open it up. I'll put it on screen. I'm a patron of Hazel, so I'm obviously quite a fan. Let's go search. Yeah, so YouTube started suggesting me Hazel's videos because of the PlayStation Lane one. I don't think I've actually watched this whole video, even though it says that I does, because YouTube's dumb. And at the time, it was just these few videos, and I wasn't really clicking yet. And even though I kind of agree that Vlad Love is a disaster, I would rather have heard someone talking about how great the show is. So I wasn't that interested in this either. It was when we got to the Forgotten Hero of 90s anime. This got suggested to me, and I was really excited because Tenchi Muyo is a show that I never got really around to watching as a kid. It was always on at mysterious times, and it intrigued me because, like, as a kid growing up, like, my interest in sexuality basically extended to anything where it was like girls looking really happy to be naked, and Tenchi has that aspect. So I was curious about it, but I never ended up really watching it. So I had a great time watching this video, learning about Tenchi, and then Cozy Anime RPGs was like, this is the video made for me. And YouTube constantly is trying to get me to rewatch this. Like, it will autoplay this video after practically anything I watch. Because it knows that I sat through the whole 2 hours of it immediately when it came out. But because I've played Summon Night Swordcraft Story, and I've played Izuna the Legend of the Unemployed Ninja, and I've wanted to play Gurumin for years, and everything else looked interesting immediately. So I was like, okay, well, this is like the most geared towards me video possible. That made me a fan. That made me become a patron. I've enjoyed the videos since. They've all been a little bit more scattershot in terms of like pacing and presentation. I do appreciate the art of process that she does, where she like incorporates the actual like making of the video into the video, which is something that I do in a more abstract way. Like, I do it across my entire career as opposed to like just showing you that video's construction, usually because the video's construction is fucking really fast in my cases, because I usually don't do these sorts of like ridiculously massive research projects. And so from there, I went back and watched the Bizarre Rabbit Hole of Direct-to-VHS anime, which was really good. It's just sort of a review of a random spattering of cool old OVAs, but I appreciated it. I liked the video about Sonic Adventure. So yeah, there you go. There's a Hazel mini rant. We got 2 more super chats. Sayaka Miki with $5. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Rant about energy drinks, your faves, your least favorite, etc., or just your favorite alcoholic beverage. I'm a big fan of Mango Loco Monster. I've never had that one, but energy drinks, I tend to go for NOS. So, like, caffeine hits me really hard. I'm somebody who, like, if I try to drink coffee, I usually can't finish a coffee. I get enough caffeine out of just a few sips, and I'm like, fucking jittery. But I also crash hard pretty quick, so I don't usually try to consume a ton of coffee at once. I am much more likely to drink tea. So my go-to, is tea or like soda as, a regular amount of a lower dosage of caffeine than coffee. but I drink a lot more of it. So I'm used to that sort of steady supply. So when I drink an energy drink, it's usually sort of overwhelming and too much, unless I'm on a super long drive and like I really am like trying to reawaken myself constantly in that way. So like the last long drive I took that I was just describing, I drank some Nas energies on the way, and yeah, like I like the citrusy taste. I like that it's almost along the lines of like a Mountain Dew in terms of being like just a palate cleansing blast. It's not over sweet like Bang, where Bang just makes me feel like I'm drinking cotton candy no matter what flavor it is. Monster I can never finish. Monster is just so like syrupy that I can never finish a whole can of it. And Red Bull just tastes like fucking garbage in my opinion. My favorite alcoholic beverage would be well, my favorite cocktail is to get a blue whale or a blue margarita, whatever the bartender knows how to make. But just generally, I like to have blue curacao, however you say it, like mixed in with whatever variety of liquors, you know, are able to be combined in a decent tasting way. I also drink gin tonics sometimes. If it's like a simple bar, like a, you know, if I'm at like an event bar or something, I tend to get gin tonics because they're easy. Get a little lime in there, you know. But I don't know why I'm walking around with so few Pikmin. I'm gonna go retrieve the rest of my flock. But yeah, so I guess I covered all the major energy drinks that I really have like a lot of experience with. Andrew Engelman with $5. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Can we get a eulogy for the brave Pikmin who died in combat? Also, any further thoughts on Makoto Shinkai or Hosoda that you haven't said already? Not really. I haven't rewatched any of Shinkai's stuff since doing my videos on him. You know, the last one I did being about Weathering with You, which I did really enjoy. I would say that the best argument I've seen against my Shinkai video was from my friend Econ, who sort of said that I undersold and underappreciated like how strong the visual storytelling is in his movies. That like you know, the images have a lot of meaning, and that is what makes them so resonant, and that, you know, I didn't really analyze some of that, and I would agree, but I don't know if that would make me like any of the movies anymore. It would, you know, I would have a more nuanced way of describing what's good and bad about them, perhaps, but, you know, I just really don't enjoy The Place Promised in Our Early Days very much, or, I think Children Who Chase Lost Voices is just a dumpster fire, quite frankly. And I don't love his early movies, but I appreciate them a lot for what they are. But yeah, I liked Your Name. I really enjoyed Weathering with You. I think he's a daring director. I think he's incredibly unique. You know, I think he's at his best when he's not trying to outright ape someone else like Miyazaki. And I will look forward to following his career well into the future. As for eulogizing those brave Pikmin who died in combat, I don't have the heart. I can't even think about it without tearing up. As for Hosoda, I also agree with Econ on this point that he's brought up. The man needs a writer. I looked up on the last stream I did, like, who wrote Summer Wars, and it seemed to be that he collaborated with a woman who had also collaborated on some of the other early scripts, and she had not collaborated past Wolf Children. And even though I have problems with Wolf Children as well, they are nowhere near the level of, like, what in the fuck is going on that I felt watching The Boy and the Beast. certain parts of Mirai of the Future, and all of Bell. I just think that Mamoru Hosoda doesn't understand how to structure a script at all. I don't think he knows how to fucking write. I think he is a really, really strong visual artist who has really cool ideas about how to present things, and has themes that he's very interested in and is really good at presenting those themes visually and conceptually. But the actual writing is just like baffling. The structure is nonsense. The dialogue is nonsense. Yeah, it's gonna take me. I'm gonna have to rewatch the movie to really get into it, as I've mentioned on these streams. But yeah, I don't understand how a producer read the script for Belle and past that. Like, it feels like a movie that was like because I know they went into it with the intention of making a musical, and then like just sort of realized that that would be too hard, and so just made a movie with songs. It just feels like the movie was developed in a stream of consciousness. Like each part was just made up as they went, and there was no like cohesive idea of what the whole of the thing was going to be until it existed, you know? Anonymous says, the people who like Belle say it's an emotional through line instead of a strong narrative or story. I wholeheartedly disagree, though. Yeah, I also disagree. I don't. There are emotional through lines going through the movie. It's just one of those things, like, a lot of people, when they get into criticism, in particular as a defense, where you're feeling like you have to defend something you like, there's a tendency to latch on to, like, I should say this, for both things you do and don't like, people tend to latch on to tangible details. Whatever is the most obvious about a thing is the thing that stands out, right? So, like, in the case of Belle, the most obviously good thing about it that connects with people is the themes and the emotional resonance. So, if they felt an emotional through line going through the movie, then that is the defense of the movie. But the counter to that is, well, okay, I can acknowledge where you found this emotional through line, but look at all this other stuff that counteracts it. Look at all this other stuff that just has nothing to do with it. Look at how many movies are in this movie, you know? Like, so that's why I want to understand better. I want to hear all those arguments, like people who like the movie, what do they think it does well, so that I can kind of counteract all that with, like, okay, but here's what's distracting me from those good things, you know, that made it difficult for me to recognize them. Yakuman with £5. You have to erase one of the following from history: Go Nagai, Leiji Matsumoto, Takahashi Rumiko. Who do you choose? Fuck. So, in terms of me being a personal fan of their work, I have the least experience with Leiji Matsumoto, I think. Because I love Devilman. Devilman and everything that's been inspired by Devilman is pretty important to me. So I can't shit on Go Nagai, even if he deserves it, even if he's a bit of a weird asshole, you know, with the stuff he's created. But I love it. I love him. I love him for being an iconoclast. I wouldn't change anything. Takahashi Rumiko, I really love Ranma 1/2. Had a lot of impact on me. Inuyasha had a lot of impact on me, even if I think it's kind of just okay. Urusei Yatsura is one of the most important things. And, like, I would say that which one had the shittiest copycats? Takahashi Rumiko. Like, Because when I think about who copied Leiji Matsumoto, right? Well, like, Leiji Matsumoto didn't write Space Battleship Yamato, but he's part of its creation, and that leads to Gundam, leads to basically all original anime, right? Galactic Express 39 is a big deal, big influence. You know, like Leiji Matsumoto's influence feels sort of imperative. All of their influence are imperative. This is a really hard question, obviously, which is why you gave it to me. I shouldn't even treat it like it's not an extremely difficult thing that you've tasked me with. Fuck. I can't pick Go Nagai because of Devilman. So he's absolutely safe. It's between Leiji Matsumoto and Rumiko Takahashi. When I think about, like, if I could keep Rumiko Takahashi's work and lose everything influenced by it, I wouldn't mind that as much as losing Leiji Matsumoto's work and keeping everything influenced by it. But that is, again, based on me not actually having read any of Leiji Matsumoto's actual manga. I have never actually read Matsumoto's stories. I used to be friends with an anime blogger who was a huge Leiji Matsumoto aficionado. Anime Critique, Kritik. A dude who I'm pretty sure is dead because of social unrest in his country about a decade and a half ago. I just realized that we still have the display capture on instead of window capture. They just looked so similar, I didn't realize. Alright, thanks for that nerve-wracking question, Yakuman. Andrew Engelman with $5. Domoarigatou gozaimasu asked, which series/movies do you consider to have good or great writing, and what sets them apart? How important do you consider structure to a work? Structure is definitely important to me in terms of, like, I'm easily distracted by anything that goes wrong in any way in any story. And so, like, if I have moments where I'm just, like, noticing, like, wow, I'm very invested right now, and then just go back to being invested, it's like, you know, like a powerful kind of feeling. And sometimes I'll feel that, like, edge of my seat feeling of, like, oh, I hope this movie's gonna hold me all the way to the end. Because there's some things where it's just, like, immediately I'm deeply immersed. Like, Sangatsu no Lion would be a good example of a show that the opening scenes just, like, captivated me so strongly that it was harder for the show to lose me than it was to keep me, you know? And, like, there was a point around halfway through the first season where I wasn't sure if I loved the trajectory of where I thought the show was going, but then it very quickly course corrected and it became really good, and I was just totally invested in it all the way to the end. But remind myself what I'm answering. But yeah, like, when something is really well structured and it holds my attention in that way, like Psycho-Pass would be a good example of a story that I think is it's somewhat clumsy in that it's front loaded with lots of exposition, but everything that it has to say is interesting. And so I just found myself always paying attention even when the scene ought to be boring because it's just people talking, but everything they're talking about is interesting, and the way they talk about it is interesting, and the characters sound smart and also have personality, and they're all distinct from each other, you know, like all of that lends to that feeling of like, ah, this is well written, even if it's, you know, it's not my favorite writing style necessarily. I do love Robuchi Gen's writing because, again, I think it is structured extremely well, but I don't tend to love the characters Butch Gen writes. I think he's more interested in using characters as a means of exploring themes in a way that's similar to how Christopher Nolan writes, I think, where both of them very similarly like construct characters that are representative of ideas, you know, which can rob them of feeling like actual characters sometimes. But in a story like Fate Zero, I think it works really well, where like, you know, the characters aren't really supposed to be likable, but they are supposed to be interesting, you know? So he works really well for that. When I think about stuff that's well written, one of my favorite film screenwriters is Michael McDonough, who directed and wrote In Bruges, Seven Psychopaths, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbings, Missouri. And I think that what makes his movies powerful is that he takes extremely believable characters, puts them in extremely believable situations, but those situations innately have something to say about human nature that ends up being really fascinating. But he writes in a very understated way where it's sort of casual. The characters don't feel like they're, you know, I don't know how to describe it, actually. This is, you know, what you're asking me is kind of like the ultimate question, because my biggest focus as a media critic is on writing. I've done a lot of work on aesthetics as well. I've talked about aesthetics more than a lot of other people who talk about anime, and sort of and help to bridge the gap into more people talking about that. But aesthetics is something I have a real appreciation for, but I'm not very good at replicating. I am a writer by trade, and so studying the writing is more important to me as somebody like trying to write good. And personally, I am mesmerized by the truly great writing. If I understood what was so good about it, I would be trying to replicate it, you know. And I've always loved the Roger Ebert quote on the subject of Pulp Fiction, where he says that the dialogue is great because it's about something. The characters are not talking about the plot, they're talking about what they happen to be interested in having a conversation about at that moment, and sometimes the plot happens, you know, or they might comment on it here and there, but, you know, the plot is not the subject of the conversation, and that is a big part of making the dialogue good. 10% of debt recovered, hell yeah. What did I even do? Let's just keep fucking getting more goddamn Pikmins. Alright, I will remind everybody watching right now that if you submit me any requests for rants for $5 or more on a super chat, I'll rant about whatever it is you want. Literally anything. I don't care. I love to run my mouth. I warn you that I'm not always very up to date on current pop media. I will be seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once on Wednesday, probably. M&M with 30 shekels. What are your favorite Stanley Kubrick films? I think you and Bird would really be into Dr. Strangelove. You'd love it because it's existentially terrifying, and Bird would love it because it's funny. Yes, I have been planning to watch that with Bird for a while. I don't think I've told him this yet, but it is very much on my agenda, because I haven't seen it yet. And it's relatively short, and it's funny, and it's Kubrick, and I've known people who are fans of the movie who've quoted it and posted screen caps from it from a long time, so I've always known it's something I would like. And it is sort of a movie that I feel like I was waiting for the right person to appear in my life to watch it with, and Bird is that person. You are definitely correct to think so. So I'll do that soon. My favorite Kubricks. The first one I remember is Full Metal Jacket. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw most of it, just like on and off while it was on TV. And I managed to see, like, you know, the dude blowing his own brains out. I managed to see the very end of Joker's part, and it was haunting. It was like one of the darkest things I had ever seen at that time, but also so just like aesthetically brilliant that it stuck with me. You know, very similar vibes to Cowboy Bebop's first episode. because this would have been around that same period where it was just like something that was so shocking to me, and it was at an age where I was, wouldn't have been willing to look if I had known what I was in for. But I think just because the visuals were so intriguing, I was drawn to it, and Stanley Kubrick definitely is a huge influence on a lot of the visual directors that I'm a fan of. I have no doubt he was an influence on Hideaki Anno, just based on the few images that I saw, the very, very end of 2001: A Space Odyssey once, where they're in the White Room, and I just thought, oh, this is End of Evangelion. This is where he got it from, is from fucking 2001. It all makes sense now. But because that's just the only thing that even makes sense as a visual reference for Anno to have pulled from, in the way he structures shots and shit in that movie. And then trying to think of the next one. Right. My mom's favorite was always A Clockwork Orange. That's a movie that she had grown up with. So I watched that when I was in my teens. And that was another movie that's somewhat disturbing, but in a way that's kind of sociopathically charming, that invites you along for the ride, with its sort of dark wit, So that's another one where I've only seen that movie once when I was a teenager. I could tell you everything that happens in that movie. I very vividly remember it. It definitely had an impact on the way I just understood the world, for sure. And then The Shining, I saw that. Good movie. It's not one of them. It's I don't like it as much as A Clockwork Orange because I don't think it has as much to say. I think it is a deeply interesting and cool movie. And obviously the main character is iconic. But Full Metal Jacket and Clockwork Orange both definitely had a deeper impact on me, of really hitting me in the feels and staying in my memory. Trying to think if there's any other Kubricks that I've actually seen, because there's a whole lot of his movies I haven't seen. Most of the early stuff and the really late stuff. I don't think I've seen any other Kubricks. I think that might be it. Alright, I got a couple more super chats. I'm going to take 1 second before I read them because my eyes feel heavy. I've got really bad fucking sinus shit right now. Anthemic Lullaby with $5. Domo arigato gozaimasu asks, should I be concerned that I haven't maintained a daily or semi-daily upload schedule for my streams and videos, though I did get a vid out today? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know what you're going for. I don't know, if you have a small channel, the fastest way to grow it is to make lots of videos about things that people care about and send those videos to the people who care about them. I have a lot of subscribers. Most of them are dead. But I'm lucky in that I don't really have to promote my videos that much because I'm usually just trying to make videos that the subscribers I already have will enjoy. When I make videos that aren't explicitly for the subscribers I already have, it is generally a huge roll of the dice whether the community that would appreciate that video will ever find it or not. Like, for instance, my Elden Ring videos. They don't have a whole lot of views. There's tons of Elden Ring content that has tons and tons of views. But, I don't know how to get my content into the purview of those people necessarily without directly becoming involved in an Elden Ring community that I could share the content with, which would be the move if I was particularly trying to lay in and be like, okay, I really want to do these Elden Ring videos right now, but yeah, the methodology is basically find people who want the thing that you're doing, give it to them, and then they will ask you for more of it, and then you just keep giving them more of it. As often as you possibly can. And If you want to make money on YouTube specifically, that will mean uploading 3 times a week. Unless you have a really solid Patreon. But you have to be really impressive for that. Ariel Waitaka, $5. Have you seen Venture Brothers? Yes, most of it. I want to say I've seen, well, because I don't know how many there are now, so I might not have seen most of it. I've seen like 4 seasons. So that might even be less than half for all I know, because I think there might be like 9. I was a big fan for the seasons that I've seen. I do remember feeling like it was kind of... I wasn't as into it as I had been in seasons 2 and 3. I remember 2 being like the highlight of the show for me from what I watched of it. But it doesn't seem like there's really anything else for me to do here. It didn't even seem like the plants respawned that time. That did give me the purple guys. So I think it's time to get the fuck out of here. How do I end the day? I know there's a button that just lets you like go to sunset. Maybe I need to put all the Pikmin away. But yeah, I love Venture Brothers. I think it's fucking hilarious. It's been a long time. I want to show that show to Bird also because I think he'd love it. I showed him the Ignore Me character and he got a real kick out of that. So I think that alone pretty much ensures me that he will probably like the show if that joke worked for him because that's one of my favorites. Fucking David Bowie is homo superior. Okay, I just needed to go to the menu. That's the problem. Yeah, I'm trying to think of more to say about Venture Brothers because, again, it's been so long since I watched it. That was, like, one of the first Adult Swim shows to really try to have, like, consistent character development and an ongoing plot. And I definitely think it ended up being influential on stuff like Rick and Morty getting to exist, which I think is very similar. What are some other shows that kind of feel like... Oh, Archer. Archer, big time, felt like it carried in the spirit of the Venture Bros. Wasn't as good, but it was still enjoyable. Yeah, just Venture Bros definitely has, like, the kind of atmosphere that gels with me, you know? Just that, the guy who makes it gives me, like, Ikuhara vibes. True Fox 1 with $2. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Will you make a playlist for these rant streams? I could do that, yeah. If you want a playlist just for specifically the streams, that sounds like a good idea. As we all know, the ones that I've done that are unlisted are all in the every YouTube video featuring the Golden Witch playlist. But there's no reason not to have specifically a playlist full of live streams if you think that would be helpful. So I'll do that as well. True Fox 1 also, I shout out once again for consistently having done time codes for all these live streams. I don't know where you have found the time because I've been live streaming obsessively for the last few days. So I really do appreciate that you've managed to keep track of all of it. Yakuman with £2. If Digibro is gay and dead, what is Trixie? Pan and Scam. I need to smoke after that. We have fun here on the Trixie stream. Yeah, there had been consideration for a Straight and Alive album. But Straight really feels like it's pushing it. because I may be in a straight relationship, but I am still attracted to women. I'm just also attracted to men. And, you know, whatever in between. I would describe myself as pansexual because the gender doesn't really have much at all to do with what makes somebody attractive to me. But as for am I dead or alive? I'm definitely somewhere in the middle of that. I'm definitely a zombie. I'm some sort of undead, at the very least. Maybe not a zombie, but I'm definitely undead. So, pansexual undead princess. I'll add that to my list of titles. Roxas fan 1001 with $5. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Love your content. Big heart emoji. And rant about remastered versus remakes in video games. Ooh, remastered is definitely preferred for me. I mean, I don't know if I can name one, but there can conceivably be a great remake of a game. I am the type of person who, because I will play old games... Okay, I'm going to rephrase this. Like, when Final Fantasy VII was coming out, a lot of people were upset when the remake was coming out because they were like, oh, it's going to tarnish the reputation of the original Final Fantasy VII by being worse, and it's going to be the one that more people are familiar with, and blah, 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 blah. Fact of the matter is, anybody who's not going to play Final Fantasy VII, the original, isn't going to play it. They're either going to play the remake or they're not. But, you know, the existence of the remake will not change who would or would not play the original Final Fantasy VII. The people who were going to, and the people who weren't. So, I don't mind the existence of remakes in that sense. But I'm not excited about them because I don't expect it to be the same thing. You know, I'm just not... There's no reason to think that it would be just as good if you changed anything fundamental about it. Remastering is different, where you just kind of have to be hopeful that they didn't somehow fuck it up and make it worse, which plenty of remasters have done, you know, because it is an artistic process to make a remaster, even still. I remember when Dark Souls Remastered came out, a lot of people were upset with it, and I'm sure I could tell the difference if I put them side by side, but I've played Dark Souls Remastered on the Switch, and I couldn't tell I wasn't playing Dark Souls. So, you know, I would say that kind of remaster is totally fine with me. I haven't played the Demon Souls remaster yet. But yeah, remake, I mean, it really is just its own game. It has to be judged on its own standards as a separate game. Whereas a remaster, you can make a much stronger case for, like, okay, well, I understand why some people think that Wind Waker looks better on GameCube than in the HD version, but I think there are gameplay trade-offs, and I don't think the visuals are that much worse, or that I think they're necessarily bad or anything, you know, so I don't know, I kind of prefer the HD version. Like, you know, remasters can be pretty good. Anthemic Lullaby with $5, nobody got to gozaimasu. How much of talking hours on end, like on these streams, was a skill built over time, and how of it is sort of natural skill, if that's a factor at all? So, it comes from my mom. My mom is somebody who tells elaborate stories, who, you know, like, she spent a lot of time on the phone all growing up. She has somebody who she, you know, talked to almost every single day for often hours on end on the phone. I talked to her a lot growing up, and so, you know, from hearing her talk all the time and then talking all the time in return, I became kind of talkative at home, at least, even as a kid. Now, when I started school, I clammed up and became shy, and interaction was usually awkward, and it was only when I made friends that I would, like, you know, just dump and fucking talk at them all the time. But most people were sort of annoyed with this. So, you know, it took me a long time to hone the talking in a way that it wouldn't annoy people, but I also have two younger brothers who I could just subject to this. So, you know, my brother Victor would just kind of be forced to listen to me go on and on and on and on and on at length for hours. He mostly found this annoying. It is what it is. And then I had a cousin who also would listen to... I have a cousin, at least still alive. Made it sound like he was dead. My cousin I would talk to very frequently about anime and stuff like that when I was in my teens. He's also somebody who is, you know, like sort of willing to listen to me go on and on and on for a long time. So between those, you know, people that I would just talk at, and like having conversations, even if it's very one-sided, has always been like my favorite thing to do. Like getting to talk and say good words and hear them come out of my mouth and like put words to the stuff that's just kind of bouncing around in my head as vaguely formed thoughts feels really good. So, you know, when I started writing when I was like 14, that was like an outlet to condense the talking into something that I could present to people online, or, you know, a readership, or like condense into something creative. But, you know, like even as a writer on the internet, I spent a lot of time in instant messenger chats and forums just having really long, drawn-out typed conversations, which are not that different. So, you know, actually speaking into a microphone and doing it podcast style, most of that practice came from a combination of doing the pub crawl, which was the late-night brony radio show that we would do for 2 to 4 hours, 2 to 3 times a week, for like 6 years. And so that was a ton of practice. And then there was also the Let's Play show, where me and my brother Victor did 2 20-minute Let's Play videos a day for like 4 years. So yeah, those were where I really got the practice in figuring out how to talk cleanly, what is or isn't interesting, how to be quiet also, because I used to freak out at every silence and I would have to fill it with singing or something like that. I still do a little bit of that here and there, but it's much more intentful now. It's not like, oh god, it's quiet, I'm dying out here. Now I'm like, yeah, let me just shut up for a second and see if anybody donates a super chat or something. Like, I don't need to be fucking non-stop ranting, or else everyone's going to abandon all attention necessarily. But yeah, did I answer this? Yes. So it's one part inherited from my mom, you know, growing up listening to stories, talking at people a lot, and then eventually developing a career out of it. And like right from the beginning, my first podcast that I did before even the Brony radio show was called Digibro Never Shuts Up, because that was the gimmick at the time, was just like, yeah, I never shut up, that's my thing. And I've lived up to it even as Trixie the Golden Witch. For a little while, Trixie the Golden Witch wasn't as what's the word I'm looking for? Outgoing? No. Public? Yeah. Just wasn't as public for a while, because I wasn't really sure exactly what I was trying to do with my life and career for a stint. And then I figured that out, and that's where we're at here, which is I'm trying to make enough money to buy a house. So I'm pretty much strictly in the mindset of what will make me the fastest you know, money that I can put forward towards the investment of my living situation. The answer to that seems to be putting out tons and tons of videos and live streaming all the time. So big thank you to everybody who's made this lifestyle possible through your super chats and through watching all the content. Especially those of you who watch it on mobile, because that means you can't skip the ads. And that means you're the ones making me the money. Well, not that you can't skip them, but that you can't block them, rather. I just assume everyone uses ad blocker on desktop. That mobile is the only reason I make any money. Anonymous says, I don't use AdBlock for some reason. Guess I'm too lazy. I use it simply because it is built into the Brave browser. And the only reason I would encourage anyone to use that is because if you use the Brave Rewards program and you get the free crypto and you send it to me, then I use that money because I turn it into dollars. I have done that many times. I've made actually, like, a lot of the crypto that I have made has been through the Brave Rewards program and people just giving me the crypto that it gives them. And then I turn that into Bitcoin. Or something else. Like American dollars. Board Clip says, I do watch all your videos, but I can't donate because I'm also moving and I need the money. That's absolutely fine. I totally understand. And I'm glad you watch all the videos. By all means, just leave them running in the background of your daily life, even when you're not actually watching them. Just throw them on in another tab and leave it there. You don't have to do that. Yo, this guy just like swordfished through several of my Pikmin. That was wild. I did not know he could do that. I thought I remembered there being yellow Pikmin blocks around here somewhere. But I ain't be seeing them. Echo Chamber Show says, in my experience, you can brute force live streaming up to 100 followers pretty quickly by having about 5 people dedicated to being really loud in your chat. What do you mean by really loud in the chat? I'm curious about this technique as I've never heard of it. But how does one be loud in the chat? Just like constantly talking in the chat, or? And also, why does that make that happen? I'm gonna try to maybe attack these weird grubs that are fucking all over this plant. Doesn't seem like I can. Well, those guys are trippy. Oh boy. Fucking allergy attack. Ah! Ah, my face! Oh! I hate it. Ugh. Y'all know what I'm talking about? It fucking just suddenly feels like something just spurts out of your eyeball. Oh boy. I don't remember when I packed this bowl, but I'm gonna smoke it now. Summer allergies. Oh, it really stings. I'm not a fan. I do not like it, fam. Summer allergies. Try to flush it all out with weed. Mute the microphone and go blow my nose. BRB. Ooh, lordy, lordy. Who else really the fuck out here with the nasal allergies right now? God damn. Look at all these fat boy Pikmin. They're so cute. These weird ass bugs. I ain't trying to fuck with them. Alright. Let's see what's down this hole. We went down the other hole and lost all of our Pikmin about an hour ago to a big rolly guy. Hopefully there's not a big rolly guy in this one. And if there is, I'm not fucking with it. Whoa, this is different. Tell me that's not water. Okay. This is interesting. I like this already. It's different. Strange. Tumultuous. Exciting. Bold. I was just reading in the chat the theory as to why having 5 or so loud people in the chat can help get you up to 100 viewers, as there are people who become interested in the conversation happening in the chat as they pop in and see it. I'm wondering if that'll happen with the conversations happening in the chat right now. But I'm also wondering if having that 100 viewers who are invested in the chat would benefit you, the streamer, on the super chat front, because if they're not invested in what you have to say but what the chat has to say, they're not paying attention to you. And this is all about attention. I need the attention in the form of dollars. Sweet lime juice for $5. Domo arigato gozaimasu. What's your opinion on draftsmanship in art? I know plenty of artists with style, but many forget the fundamentals and often have clunky art. Interesting. I would say that I am somebody who generally tends to like stuff that is extremely loose. So, you know, I'm not hyper judgmental about the fundamentals and like the stuff that is broken about someone's art, unless I can see it as a something that's really holding them back. Because like there's lots of artists who understand their limitations and just build what they do around like what will look aesthetically pleasing within the limitations of their capability. And then you see those moments where the artist like is trying to accomplish something that they're not quite capable of, and you think, like this is a place where you need more practice, or you know, where you needed to go over it more times and try to figure out what you were doing wrong, you know. But at the same time, I can be very forgiving of it because I don't look at it and think, oh, they should have gone over this again, as often as I think, oh, well, they just don't know how to do this yet. Like, they probably did go over this again and again, and they couldn't figure it out, you know? Because that's way more often what I see artists doing. And oftentimes they just need to come at it from another perspective, or, like, you know, carry it around with them, kind of forget about it and reapproach it with new eyes and realize, you know, whatever they were missing, whatever forest was being missed for the trees, so to speak. I don't know the exact definition of the word draftsmanship actually here, so I'm like hesitant to answer with what I think you're asking. But yeah, I tend to like heavily stylized art, but I also prefer if the artist doesn't try to do something too ambitious that breaks the piece, you know? You could see some of the art that I've made, for instance, on Twitter that is almost without any kind of fundamental understanding at all of how anything works, but has like a very particular aesthetic style that, like, you know, obfuscates that, but in a way that it's like using the simplicity rather than trying to like hide it, I guess. So yeah, I don't know a better way to answer that. I hope I was correct in what I think you were asking. I definitely encourage all artists of any type, though, to practice all the time, you know? I'm in a state right now where I'm basically, because I'm trying to get content out as quickly as possible and as often as possible, I've always just sort of released as much as I can. Like, unless a script really sucks or I really don't know how to edit it, I will most likely do it. And historically, I have thrown away lots and lots of video scripts and projects. You know, probably at least in the dozens, but fewer and fewer as time has gone on, because at this point, even the stuff that I'm not really trying that hard on is decent, and someone will appreciate it, and so I just kind of feel like, well, whatever, it deserves to exist. It's not, like, bad, but, you know, I, of course, relish the opportunity to actually challenge myself. Something like the Eureka 7 series, for example. Like, the fact that it could become such a big, ridiculous thing made me feel like it had to, because it's like, oh, I don't always get the opportunity to do something that's like a big, daring project, so that I'm actually like enthusiastic about and think will be good. I had no idea there were white Pikmin. Are these like the ghost Pikmin or whatever? Knew about the purple. Oh, I like them. They're cool. Yeah, they're poison. They can do the poison thing. It's swift. Incredible. I like it. Sweet lime juice with $5. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Love the answer. You should learn the fundamentals of drawing. It has applications beyond art. What do you like about Kill Tony? Ooh, good question. Particularly, I like watching the videos of Kill Tony. So Kill Tony is, for anyone who's never heard of it, it's a podcast. It is considered the world's biggest live podcast, I guess. But, you know, each episode has a video component, and it is, in fact, a live show, like done in a comedy club, in which people one by one go up and do a minute of stand-up, and then Tony Hinchcliffe, the comedian, roasts their set, usually, unless they're good. There's people who come on as, like, regulars who are, you know, who are brought back, and particularly, like, the more talented ones. So it can be entertaining as, like, a comedy show, but mostly it's a cringe comedy, and it's mostly about watching people who are out of their depth try to do something they don't really understand how difficult it actually is, and about, you know, the results from that, the hilarious way that Tony handles his response to them, you know, which is simultaneously roasting them, but also trying to make sure they're not gonna, like, kill themselves afterwards, you know. And like just watching watching the show is a lot better than listening to it because there is a lot of unspoken content. Like, aside from the fact that watching the body language of the people who go on stage is really important, watching the facial expressions that Tony makes, and especially the guests that he has on, because he usually has somebody on the table who is not a regular on the show, who is like helping him to roast the performances. And those people usually don't really know what they're in for with what this show is going to be. So, like, the reactions of whoever he brings on are often the funniest fucking part. Just like watching the faces of people like trying to figure out how they're going to tell this person that their comedy sucks without hurting them too much, you know? So yeah, it's a really fun, like, human experiment to watch unfold, and the fact that Tony holds it together so well is astounding to me. Like, the nature of the show, it is called Kill Tony, and it's a show where he's just embarrassing people in front of an audience in the most, like, it feels like the entire staging of the event is just to set up as much aggression directed at Tony himself, the host, as possible. Like, there's a gun pointed at him. It says Kill Tony underneath him. He's always wearing a ridiculous outfit that draws attention to himself. All this, you know, like, the heaviest spotlight is on him, and he's just shitting on people, often who really don't know, like, really don't understand how bad they actually are, you know? So it's a pretty astounding experience, and it takes, I think it just takes a lot more, just a lot more skill to do than most people would appreciate. And so I watched it and I was like, oh man, this is really cool, and I really want to do something like it. And that's what inspired the rant room, because I'm not as funny, but I can rant and I can judge people's rants. But I would love to go see Kill Tony. You know, I would love to develop a routine that I could bring onto the show and try to kill Tony with. I have some ideas, but I've never done stand-up, so I probably wouldn't want it to be my first time. It doesn't tend to go well for people who choose to do Kill Tony as their first ever stand-up. It's not usually the, you know, it's not usually the right place for that, but I feel like there was more to that rant request than just Kill Tony. Oh yeah, learning the fundamentals of drawing. I've taken a fundamentals of design course when I was in college, but yeah, I don't know. Drawing is drawing has always been something that I've been heavily interested in, but very repelled by the sheer gap between my skill level and what I would want it to be at. So it's just, I've always, like, I'm not at the skill level I want to be in pretty much anything except for this, which is like analytical writing and talking at length. Those are the two things that I consider myself to be pretty goddamn good at, which is why I'm able to make money doing them. But, like, I also want to be a fiction author, and I want to make money off of my original works, and developing that skill set is already taking up the time that I would devote to drawing. So I have done some little bits of drawing as, like, ancillary parts of the writing projects that I've worked on, like Kusomega, but the thought of, like, really trying to dedicate myself to drawing anytime in the near future, it's just too much. Too much other shit going on in my life already. What am I trying to do? Were these just like spouts that I was shutting off, I guess? Okay. I guess that's all that's about. Aiden Welch with $5. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. Rant about VTubers. Can do. I first was introduced to VTubers mostly through my friend Econ a couple of years ago, who was really into Matsuri. What the hell is her name? Matsuri, something like that. I can't remember her goddamn name. She was cute, and I appreciated what like what is fun about the VTubers. But like I generally don't really watch live streams. Like I do live streams. The main appeal of these streams in my mind is that I rant about stuff that, you know, by request, and there are people who just like the general way that I talk about things. But it's because I'm talking about things that I think makes me good. Like I'm good at talking about things. I'm not good at just like being a personality that's just like lovable, you know. I'm not like a bubbly, entertaining person to watch when I'm not talking about anything. So I think that like you know, I have a sort of unique approach as a streamer, a very different appeal from a lot of the other popular ones, but VTubers to me fall more into the category of like a typical streamer that's like, yeah, it's just a person with a nice personality and a cute voice who, you know, people are magnetized to, but I don't get anything out of it. Like, my favorite VTuber that I've seen was Mirai Akari, because she has a lot of really conceptual videos that are like these basically just sketch comedy videos that are really strange some of the times and really inventive. But even then, like, it's such a mixed bag. I never really know what I'm going to get from a Mirai Akari video, and a lot of them aren't that exciting to me. So I haven't ended up like keeping up with her or like watching more of those videos over time. I would love to be a VTuber. I've checked out some of like the English speaking ones here and there just because I felt like maybe that would be easier to connect with. Because like, you know, obviously with Japanese speaking VTubers, I don't speak Japanese, so the only real exposure I had to them was through translation videos and stuff like that. Some of those are cute, but to me it just gets very repetitive very quick. I don't know, like I guess my engagement with media tends to be more on the intrigue in concept. Like, whoa, there's a fucking head of a bird here. So like the reason I liked some of those Mirai Akari videos is that they were conceptually interesting, whereas like videos of like cute Japanese girl says English swear word or whatever, like once I've seen one of them, I feel like I've seen all of them, and it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. It's like, all right, I get it. They say fuck or whatever. So yeah, I think the sort of magnetism, the magnetic personality aspect doesn't connect with me. I like shitty people. I like people who have dark backstories and fucked up things to talk about, and who've dedicated their entire lives to media consumption and analysis, and are cynical and you know, not necessarily the type. Oh god, my fucking allergies. Just Lexi with Canadian $5 rant about The Boys. I have only seen small snippets of The Boys. I know it's got another season coming out soon. I've seen the trailer for that just simply because Bird is a big fan of The Boys. And I'll definitely encourage him to talk about it next time he's on stream, if you're there. But The Boys is a little too dark and fucked up for me. You know, I watched the Red Letter Media video about it back when it first came out, and just the imagery of their like version of the Flash fucking like nullifying the guy's girlfriend in the first episode was pretty haunting, kind of traumatic. Like just seeing that alone, like I had to think about it a lot. Like I've given a lot of thought to that moment, and I realized that that's why people like the show. But I, you know, from what I've seen of like the character interactions and stuff, it's not funny. Like it's a comedy show that I don't laugh at. I get like it seems like the joke is that it's violent, and like the violent scenes are actually shocking to me. I don't find them funny. I find them sick and horrifying, and then everything in between that is just kind of like, all right, the characters are a bunch of douchebags, but like it's not funny. The joke is just that they're a bunch of douchebags. You know, it's dark, it's sarcastic, it's like a Steely Dan song, but more over the top and violent, like, I guess without the class. It's just, you know, it's the boys. It's almost like a show that's predisposed for me not to like it. You know, it's cape shit. It's about the boys. It's hyper violent. Everyone in it's a fucking asshole, and it's not that funny. So I can't say it's a show that's after my heart, but I totally appreciate what is likable about it to other people. Awakening Wood. Why didn't they just call it Morning Wood? That's what we are gonna think of. Inevitably. Eat some more of this fucking cream pie. I can't get it open. It's not very good, this salted caramel cream pie that I got from Walmart. Overly doughy. How much of the boys is just Superman but he evil, lol? It's not even so much that they're evil so much as they're just narcissistic assholes who don't care. Like, they just are on a level of sociopathy and elitism and narcissism. It's not that unlike celebrities, honestly. Watching Ezra Miller's behavior is, it's like watching The Boys. But it's more that they are all in a state of meltdown. Like, none of the characters are clever. It's not like they're a bunch of... I mean, aside from, like, the evil, you know, corporations or whatever, and government controllers and stuff like that. But, like, the main characters, the heroes, are just presented as, like, you know, these... like, really in over their heads, out of their depth, like, just, you know, they don't really know what's going on, they just have superpowers, and, like, yeah, they come off kind of like entitled celebrities. Jado Mako with €5. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Thoughts about aliens? There are trillions of quadrillions of star systems, yet universe appears lifeless. I don't know how much of the universe we've been able to observe to even, like, figure that out or check for life, because, I mean, there's a lot of fucking universe. There's a lot of fucking Milky Way. I really doubt that we have done any kind of, like, meaningful scan of much of the universe for life. So, I think it's likely to be out there. Big fucking universe, once again. Almost impossible to even conceive of the scale, much less try to monitor it. So yeah, I really do think it's just a matter of the sheer size of it. Like, I think that the odds of life are astronomically low, but, you know, again, astronomical. That's the scale that we're talking about. So when it comes down to it, you know, somewhere out there, there's probably other life. There's, like, it just seems so unlikely that it could have only happened once. As unlikely as life seems to be conceptually, it seems even more unlikely given how life finds a way, to quote Jurassic Park. You know, life seems so determined to happen that it's like, how could it possibly not have happened more than once, you know? Like, on Earth, it's harder to get it to stop happening than it is to get it to happen. So, like, surely that is a universal constant, as the rules of physics remain the same. I think aliens are dope. I'd love to meet an alien. It'd be cool. I like Mass Effect. When I think about aliens, I just think about Mass Effect. So that's my favorite portrayal of, you know, humans interacting with aliens and shit. So we're back in the cave where I once lost all of my Pikmin. This time I'm not gonna pick a fight with the big guy at the end of the cave. Pikmin 2 is a good video game. You can tell because it has other video games inside of it. Have I heard the news that the government's putting more money into investigating UAPs? I don't know what that stands for, but I know that they're looking into UFOs and shit, especially around here. I live in Newport, well, I live in the area around Newport News, which is where all the big military bases are, and yeah, they're definitely, they're always talking about fucking UFO investigations and shit. Dash and scan with $2. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Would you advise going to therapy? If you think that it would help you, then yeah. I mean, I would advise going to therapy and keeping in mind that you can always change therapists and change medications and all those kinds of things. Like, don't just assume that the first person that you go to will necessarily have all the answers or that you'll be able to communicate with them, because therapy is, it's basically just having someone you can talk to who knows what you're talking about. Like, that is the main appeal of it, at least for me, was that, like, as somebody who, you know, had some understanding of psychology myself going into therapy when I did it, like, it was mainly that I could talk about these things that I thought were true that nobody else really could confirm for me with somebody who is like, yeah, no, it is, yeah, that is the way it works. No, you do know, yes, you are thinking what you're thinking, you know? And, obviously there are other people who have even less of an idea of what's really going on with themselves. But basically, like, if you feel like something is preventing you from living your life the way that you think you're supposed to be living it, a therapist is somebody who can help advise with, like, ideas of, like, okay, well, here's what might be here's what is creating your insecurity, here's what you can do to try to conquer that insecurity, you know? But just don't expect it to be like a life fixer. Like, don't think, oh, I'm gonna go to therapy and they're going to, and then, like, you know, now everything's going to be okay. It's like, it's basically just advice, but from somebody who is really good at giving advice on the subject of psychology, you know? I don't know. I guess I don't know what everybody goes to therapy for. It's different for everyone, so it's hard to know really, like, who do I advise to go to therapy and what for, you know? I've been here before. Shout out to this little ghost Pikmin that's gotten lit on fire like 4 times. It's still alive. Strife Monolith. The Mahjong piece is called a Strife Monolith. Incredible. Cosmic Archive. Couldn't tell what game that was. Couldn't read the kanji. There's something like 100,000 million stars in the Milky Way. Yeah, that's a lot of fucking stars. That's just the Milky Way. That's just 100,000 light years worth of shit close to us. That's just the setting of the Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Anybody who's watching the VOD of this stream, I encourage you to just go read the chat through these quiet parts where they're like talking about like the nature of the fabric of the universe and shit. Because there is chat replay, and this is some deep shit, dude. Some fucking deep shit. Deep like my Pikmin getting lit on fucking fire and dying. Well, that was unfortunate. Huh. Neat. Galactic Heroes is very, very good. I do highly recommend it. You can watch my long-ass video on it if you need more information. Pikmin sprouts? Where do I have Pikmin sprouts? True Dash with 10 pound. Domo arigato gozaimasu says, hey Trixie, rant about Takeshi Koike's work outside of Redline, such as Trava First Planet and his Loop on the Third trilogy, his Animatrix short, and his work as an animator and character designer. I think Takeshi Koike's visual style is absolutely fucking incredible. And, you know, Redline is not my favorite execution of it, even though it's the highest level. I don't love the background art in a lot of that movie. I think that, and conceptually it's just not as interesting to me as some of his other work. Whereas, I love what he brought to the Loop on the Third universe. I don't know what Pikmin Sprouts is trying to say I have here. Maybe there was one purple guy I hadn't picked up or something. But yeah, I thought that the way that Women Called Fujiko Mine and the other like films that he did, I haven't seen all of the 3 movies yet. So I watched, I think, Jigen's it's Goemon Spray of Blood, Jigen's something. I watched the Jigen movie, which I think was the first one, and I thought it was pretty good. I've heard the other ones are better. Really want to see the one, because I don't think it was that one where Fujiko smokes the big bong. Possibly one of the greatest pieces of animation ever made. But yeah, I think Koike's style looks fucking awesome in the Loop on the Third series, and it brought a really cool edge to that series for like a decade. And I haven't seen Trava. I have seen the Animatrix shorts, but it's been a really long time. I know he did the one where it was like just a woman or maybe it was a man running world record. And I remember not having liked that when I was younger because I just saw it as kind of boring, whereas now I appreciate what it like that it is an animation marvel. It's sort of similar to The Running Man by Yoshiaki Kawajiri. Very similar, unless that was him and I'm fucking mistaking what he did with something else. No, because Kawajiri did the Ninja Battle one. Oh god, I need to rewatch the Animatrix. Jigen's Gravestone, yeah, that was the one. And then his animation cuts on Dead Leaves are some of the most impressive in the whole movie. Just like the most detailed, most like fucking 5 layers of shading on everything, and it's animated fluidly. Like just ridiculous animation cuts he did for that film. So that's probably some of my favorite work he's done, just because I love that movie overall, and like it's just one more awesome thing in this giant stretch of awesome things happening. That would be my red line, is Dead Leaves. But if I had to say what my favorite like thing that he's brought aesthetically would be to Lupin. Like I really love that he reinvented it in a way that made it cool again in a whole new fashion, and like artsy and impressive and modern in a way that nothing else was at the time. That's your favorite sequence from Animatrix? I mean, I can remember it very clearly in my mind, so I know it's good. I was like 12 at the time and I didn't get it. I saw the Animatrix when it came out and not since. Except for the part that I used in the old school underground remix tape video. But don't quote me that that was Koike. I'm not sure. You could look it up yourself, but I'm not sure if that was the one he did. I think so. I need to get rid of the rest of this sea salt caramel chocolate cream pie before I run the risk of eating more of it. I've had too much already. It's not even good. I'm starting to get pretty weary because of all the fucking melting in my face. Just the fact that my face keeps melting like ice cream, and it's disgusting, and it's making me very tired. So I'll probably go to bed before too very long. I'm just going to remind everybody about super chat rant requests one more time. Hit this bong, play a little bit more Pikmin 2, and then call it a night. I've had a good time. I was on Vito's stream. If you didn't see that, and you want more of me after this is over, you can go to Vito's channel. He did the Monday Night Grift stream. I came in like 40 minutes in when he was finally done talking about the Amber Heard trial, and talked about Ezra Miller's latest fucking absolute nuts thing he was doing in Hawaii, where he's screaming at the police officer, "I am transgender and non-binary, and I do not want to be touched by a man," over and over again. Which is still confusing to me, because if he's non-binary, I don't know why specifically he can't be touched by a man. It was a confusing video. He talked about how he gets assaulted so he can make videos out of it to sell as crypto NFT. It was fucking wild. So I reacted to that with Vito and Andy Signor and Top Loaded Gaming and another guy who dropped out. I don't remember what his name was. But yeah, you could go watch that over there. A pie, like an oatmeal cream pie, is a pie. It's a pie like there's a base layer of crust, then a layer of chocolate, and then a layer of cream, and then like a top drizzle of sea salt caramel. And frankly, I thought there would be a lot more caramel, like maybe a layer of caramel, because you can barely taste the fucking caramel. There's way too much cream, and the pie crust is just dough. It's not very good. Do I announce somewhere when I'm a guest? In this case, I did happen to announce in the live stream I did right before Vito's show. But, no, today's case, I mean, I'm going to try to do Vito's Monday Night Grift every time he does it, if he'll have me, because it's fun to do, and it gets decent viewership. I was on the last one he had done as well, so, but he skipped 2 weeks. So, like, if you go 3 weeks back, there was a Monday Night Grift, the one about Doctor Strange when it had just come out, and I hadn't seen it yet, but, or actually it was just about to come out, but on that live stream, yeah, I was there with, Tony from Hack the Movies, very famous movie reviewer who I'm friends with, so that was a fun show to go on, with him, and then Vito skipped the last 2 weeks, but, he did one this week, and I was on with Andy Signor, and we were talking about Ezra Miller, and it was really fucking funny. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm fitting to wrap this up. If there's not any last minute rant requests in the next couple minutes, I'm gonna just wrap it up, because I'm fucking tired of the face sludge. I hope everybody has had the chance to check out my Eureka 7 video. I finally managed to get it onto YouTube in a heavily diminished form, but I would of course encourage you to watch the Odyssey upload. All of my videos will be uncut on Odyssey. I had a video today about Euphoria and Isekai anime. The channel, it's called Vito, V-I-T-O. That is where I was on the Monday Night Grift. Vito is the co-host of the Biggest Problem in the Universe podcast with Dick Masterson, who is also a friend of mine. I am hoping to be a guest on the Biggest Problem in the Universe sometime. So if you'd like to see that, by all means let them know. Dick just tweeted out the other day, who do you want to see on the Biggest Problem in the Universe? And I retweeted it, so if you want to see me on there, respond to that tweet. But yeah, Vito stream aside, Eureka 7 video aside, Euphoria video, also uncut on Odyssey. Currently monetization stolen by HBO on YouTube, but that's fine. That's fine. I'll fight it. I'm contesting it. We'll see what happens. Alright, everybody. I think I'm calling it a night so I can go blow my nose 100 times, and tomorrow I'm probably going to watch Belle again so I can write a review of that. Start editing the first part of my Cowboy Bebop video series or part 2 of my Eureka 7 video series, whichever one I decide I want to work on first. And I also got to start watching Lucky Star for the sake of the next anime alphabet. So look for